Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you are fine. My name is Landya Regita Putri from Applied Foreign Language Class B, Vocational School, Diponegoro University. My student ID number is 400-205-206-50056. In this video, I want to introduce you about my extended family. Start from me. My name is Landya Regita Putri. I am a student of Applied Foreign Language Class B, Vocational School, Diponegoro University. I am an ambitious people. I have a chubby face. Next is my father. My father's name is Mr. Triyoga. He is a civil servant. He is a smart people. He has small eyes. He didn't have brother or sister. Next, I want to introduce you my grandparents and my great-grandparents from my father. My grandfather's name is Mr. Kaswan. He passed away many years ago. During his life, he is a driver. He married with Mrs. Sardino. She passed away on December 2020. During her life, she is a trader. She has a round face and she is a hard worker. Next is my great-grandfathers from my grandfather. My great-grandfather's name is Mr. Kasmijan. He passed away many years ago. During his life, he is a driver. He married with Mrs. Taslia. She passed away many years ago. During her life, she is a housewife. Next is my great-grandparents from my grandmother. My great-grandfather's name is Mr. Wawan. He passed away many years ago. During his life, he is a driver. He married with Mrs. Rukini. She passed away many years ago. During her life, she is a housewife. Next, I want to introduce you about my mother and her family. My mother's name is Mrs. Diah Sriwulan. She is a housewife. She is a beautiful angel for me. She has a bright skin and she is friendly. She has 4 brothers and 3 sisters. Next is my first uncle. His name is Mr. Adam Ahwanto. He passed away a few years ago. During his life, he is a trader of tofu. He is an optimistic people and he has a black hair. He married with Mrs. Sami. Mrs. Sami has a round face. She is funny woman. They have 4 children. Mr. Wasturi, Mr. Cipto, Mrs. Wiwin, and Mrs. Wulan. They are an optimistic people and have a tiny body. They are a trader of tofu too in Pemalang. Next is is my first aunt. Her name is Mrs. Retno Sri Palupi. Mrs. Retno Sri Palupi has a tiny body. She is a hard worker. She married with Mr. Agus and now live in Jakarta. Mr. Agus is a hard worker too. He has a black hair. They have one son, Andi Setiawan. He is an employee at a bakery shop in Jakarta. He has a bright skin and he is tall. Next is my second uncle. His name is Mr. Rejo Herbeno, a school supervisor in Kajen, Pekalongan. He is a smart people and he has a sideburn. He married with Mrs. Mundila, a guardian village in Buba village, Kajen, Pekalongan. They have 2 daughters and 1 son. The first one is Laras Puspa Hapsari. She is a teacher at a senior high school in Kajen, Pekalongan. She is a smart people. She has a tiny body. The second one is Citra Evita Nurmala. She is a nurse in hospital in Pekalongan. She has a bright skin. She has a tall body. She is kind. Next is Gali Fajar Prasojo. He is a student at the college in Yogyakarta. He is kind and he is adventurous. Next is my second aunt. Her name is Mrs. Widi Astuti. She is a determined and she has a chubby face like me. She married with Mr. Bambang Suprayitno, a security in Jakarta. They have 2 daughters. Mr. Bambang Suprayitno is a funny man. He has a tall body. Their daughters are Christinofilia and Indes Rinera. Both have a wavy hair. Next is my third uncle. His name is Mr. Rudy Herlambang. He is a detailer. He's a genius man and he has a bright skin. He married with Mrs. Sri Budi Arti, a teacher at senior high school in Kajen, Pekalongan. She is a genius woman. She has a bright skin too. They have 2 sons and 2 daughters. The first one is Gary Diva Ananda. He is a student of Stage Collect Accountancy. He is genius people and he has a tall body. The second one is Kevin Gusti Ananda. He is a student of 1 senior high school, Sragi, Pekalongan. He is a genius people and has a tall body too. Third, Bilkis Aulia Bahariski. Fourth, Geisha Olivia Maharani. Both has a long black hair and has a tiny body. They are a student of Sragi Elementary School in Pekalongan. Next is my third aunt. Her name is Mrs. Hermi Rohana. She is a teacher in Bogor. She has a bright skin. She is determined people. She married with Mr. Agus. Mr. Agus is a driver. He has a black hair. He is an optimistic people. They have one daughter and one son. The first one is Wulan. Wulan is a flight attendant. She has a bright skin and tall body. She is funny. Next, Andre. He has black hair and he is funny too. Next is my fourth uncle. His name is Mr. Trimanto. He is a trader in Kudus, Central Java. He is sociable. He has a bald hair. He married with Mrs. Suhermi. She is a housewife. Mrs. Suhermi has a chubby face like me, and she is an optimistic people. They have 3 sons, Elang, Leo, and Orca. They are an artistic people, and they have a tall body. Next, I want to introduce you about my grandparents and my great-grandparents. My grandfather's name is Mr. Ahmad Arso Subroto. He passed away a few years after my parents married. During his life, he is a teacher. He married with Mrs. Sri Sukamsi. During her life, she is a housewife. She passed away many years ago too. Next is my great-grandparents. Start from my great-grandparents from my grandfather. My great-grandfather's name is Mr. Kasan Mantep. During his life, he is a village chief. He passed away many years ago. He married with Mrs. Ngasila. She is a housewife. She passed away many years ago. Next is my great-grandparents from my grandmother. My great-grandfather's name is Mr. Rahmat. He passed away many years ago. During his life, he is a traffic police. He married with Mrs. Asmina. Mrs. Asmina passed away many years ago too. During her life, she is a village chief of Babelan village in Kudus. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.